What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me, but I just got home off of an early morning flight, right? First thing through the door, I want to see my family. I love my family. You know, I'm a family man. I'm an advocate for families, right? Second thing, I got to get that hot shower because I got to throw the threads on. The threads make me feel like $1,000,000, but the third thing through my mind and all throughout the trip is that I gotta have that Teej pack. Teej makes my life uncomplicated. It's uncomplicated skincare for men. The first way that I started specifically was their level 1 system. It's a daily face wash to get rid of the dirt and grime on your skin. 2 times per week exfoliate and scrub to get rid of the dead skin cells. An AM moisturizer with SPF 20 because you should always be protecting your skin from the sun, and a PM moisturizer to help your skin stay hydrated and healthy throughout the night. Here's the thing. My favorite part about Teej Henley is that every box comes with an instruction card that tells you when to use each product, how much to use, and in what order. They really making the process of achieving and maintaining amazing skin for men uncomplicated. In addition to amazing skin, members of Teej Henley get tons of benefits, including at least 20% off the retail price, the ability to customize your box, exclusive monthly deals, you can pause and cancel at any time, and you get free shipping. And because Teej Henley is sponsoring today's video, they're offering my viewers an amazing deal, right? Just click the first link in the description and you get 30% off your first box, plus a free gift. It's an amazing deal. You got to get started today. You're not out here trying to look like a Dusty. And if you travel as much as I do, which I'm sure most people don't, but you know me, I'm pushing my bag chasers in order to be in the top 5%, top 10%, top 1%. We got to make our lives uncomplicated, and Teej Henley is no better product. You got to look good. You got to smell good. And you can't be looking like a Dusty. Make sure you get started today. Click the link in the description. Get that Teej pack. Feel the Teej, my friends. What's going on? It's Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Welcome to another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. Hopefully you guys was able to catch the live stream last night because it was one of them ones. It was definitely an epic live stream. It was one of them ones. I'm trying to get myself situated. I didn't anticipate it going like that, but then at the same time, I anticipated it going like that. You know what I'm saying? It was definitely one of them ones, but I am very much happy to be before you today. Shout out to Chauncey and everybody in the chat. Let me get a mental health check in the chat today. I want to take my time and I want to cook today. Let me get a mental health check in the chat today. I slept for about 3 hours. I slept about 15 minutes longer than I wanted to wake up, but I slept for about 3 hours last night. We work. We absolutely work. We work. We go and get it. We go get to the bag. Let me get a mental health check in the chat to see what y'all talking about out here in these streets. Y'all good? Y'all feeling good? Hold on. What's going on? There we go. No, it's not over. Anton is right here. I don't know. I must have made a mistake and hit a button or something. I must have made a mistake and hit a button. My bad. No, it's not over. I just made a mistake and hit a button. My bad. My bad. I'm here. We here. We cooking. We cooking. We cooking. I hit the wrong button. My bad. My bad. I see everybody. Everybody is in the building. Don't worry about it. We here. We here. Let's get to see what's people talking about. Let's say good, free, fully rested. See if y'all was paying attention. Good, free, fully rested, copacetic, lifted, struggling, focused, happy, thankful, recovering, grateful, cold. Somebody said feeling productive and feeling good. Union strong, Anton, them checks hitting different. Yeah, we going to talk about that, Brittany. We going to talk about that, Brittany. They said them 3 hours kicking in, ain't it? Focused. Anton, are you Muslim yet? Am I Muslim yet? Yeah, okay. Feeling reassured, delivered, hydrated, healthy, cooking on all burners, focused, tunnel vision, tired. You going to crash out with 3 hours? No, I'm not. I'm going to sleep real good tonight. I'm going to sleep incredibly well tonight. Smiling, I'm back. And motivated. Awesome. Chasers. Shout out to the Chasers. Let me go ahead and cook up and acknowledge the people. First, let's get the housekeeping out of the way. First and foremost, make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. I am releasing a video tomorrow, and it is an incredible video. I would say that the video that I release tomorrow inside of the Patreon, could quite possibly be one of the most important videos that I've ever recorded in the studio. No exaggeration. Listen, the video is so important that it changed my life immediately. It changed my life immediately. The video that I am going to release tomorrow, it is like 1 hour and 45 minutes long. I'm going to read the super chat shortly. Listen, y'all. It's 1 hour and 45 minutes long. I need you guys to focus. I need you guys to tune into that. And I need you guys to really sit down and possibly watch it with your family. It could quite possibly be one of the most important videos that I drop in the Patreon all year. Real talk. No exaggeration. I had to go through and have a conversation with my editors to make sure that it was great. I am in my bag lately. Like, I know that I'm operating off of minimal sleep right now, but I am in my bag lately. I am dropping it on Patreon tomorrow. Tomorrow, I am dropping it on Patreon tomorrow. On the first of the month, I'm dropping it on Patreon. That's number one. Secondly, bag chasers who were of the people that got the grant money or the money that I'm giving you in order to vet out your business ideas effectively, or me just contributing into your ideas. There are a few stragglers that have not responded to the email to send me their payment information. Please send me the payment information so that I can get you your monies. I have never seen people turn down or be slow to get $1,000, $2,000. I have never seen people slow to send information in order to make sure that they get their payment on Monday of next week. If you are one of the people who I said that I would give money and then I sent you a follow-up email, respond to the emails, because it's almost making me question whether or not you are serious about your business idea and whether I'm wasting my money. Don't make me waste my money. At the very least, if you are one of the people that pitched me your business and you took the time out to pitch your business, you telling me you don't check your emails and then go out there and respond in order to make sure that you get your money? Christmas time? 2 bands? It's a few people that's literally foregoing the bag because they just not diligent enough to take care of business. And it's making me re-question whether or not I should have even. I was in a bag to where I just felt like really saying yes to almost every single person that pitched me. So go and check your emails and respond to the email. All right. That's number 2. Number 3, make sure you get into that Teej Hanley, 30% off your first order plus a free gift. Thank you, Teej Hanley, for sponsoring the live stream. And let me tell you, I use the product. I would never pitch something to you guys that I don't love for myself. So tap into that Teej Hanley. Ladies, get it for your mans, especially for Christmas. Fellas, don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. Take care of your business, all right? Let me give an acknowledgement to a few people that contribute to the platform and make sure that they hold us down. Torres Morgan is in the building on Cash App. I appreciate you, big dog. Mike, that dude, is always holding me down. Thank you, Mike, that dude. Every freaking day. Said thank you for the value. Jason Burst is in the building. Thank you, Jason Burst, for holding me down. I appreciate you, big dog. T-Mac. Thank you, T-Mac. And Kevin Cunningham. I appreciate everybody that look out for me on Cash App. Also, I want to acknowledge a couple super chats, and then we're going to get started with the show. Jay Ben says, last night was a movie. That is absolutely true. Absolutely true. Last night was a movie. Tomorrow's payday. Join the Bag Chasers and start your journey to leveling up. 2K24 is on the horizon. Greatness starts now. Thank you, my friend. And I always love my people. Jay Ben is one of the realest ones ever. I done met him and his wife multiple times in person. Pretty Boy 79 said, who else is out here trying to build more character in his people than you? Great job last night. If y'all didn't watch the live stream from last night, y'all really missing out. Seriously, you need to send that to your sons. Tech Noop is in the building, says, good morning, AD. You were cooking with hot grease last night. I had to roll me a pack of that Baby Yoda to sit back and listen. Let's cook today. Every day. We give 100% of everything that we do every single day. You're never going to see me half-a it. I ain't going to cuss. Half-a it here on my live streams or on my videos. Speeds the B says, what's up, my brother? Great show last night. Wanted to see you nail that pastor's wife to the cross. I will never go after somebody's wife. Speeds, you know me. I will never go after somebody's wife. Talking about somebody that called in last night, and they were talking about I should have held them more accountable. Listen, I was just thankful that they was able to share their story, and so I'm not going to go after her. I'm going to try to understand the full context of why she's sharing what it is that she's sharing. I want people to be able to have a conversation. I don't want to go after everybody. You know what I'm saying? That was a wild story, and that other chick was in a dead situation. Keep going, bro. I'm telling y'all, it was a crazy show last night. Queen B is in the building, says, I just listened to the video from last night, and you helped me figure out my prayer life. My prayers are slight work for the Most High. Now I know I need to praise him and ask for what he wants me to do. Man, I'm almost ready to just go do another session of what happened last night, Queen V. Bilderberg Boy says, good morning. Last night was epic. Shout out to the Thought Demons. Shout out to my guy, Freezy. Daniel Gordon is in the building, says, not sure if you got my email from the Bag Chasers pitch session, but I would love to set up a 30-minute video call if you still do those. Email me, AntonDaniels413@gmail.com. Absolutely, I got you, Daniel. And then my dog, Batman, 4,000 plus 11. Said, excellent real talk last night. You are appreciated. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. Thank you to everybody that support the platform. From $1 up to the 50, to the Cash Apps, to the Super Chats. I don't ask for it, but I absolutely appreciate the value that you guys see that I bring and then reciprocate. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hopefully I can continue to do so in the future. Y'all ready to get started with the show? This is Quick Hits, ladies and gentlemen. Quick Hits is a part of the show where we basically break down what's going on in society, but it doesn't necessarily warrant an entire segment dedicated to it, so we just going to deep dive into it. So, first and foremost, oh yeah, I forgot. Camera switch out. My bad. First and foremost, UAW's Sean Fain. Sean Fain got some stuff to say, y'all.
All right, welcome back. So the UAW now has a new target, and it is none other, at least in part, than the world's wealthiest man, Elon Musk. Now, fresh off victories in negotiations with the big three automakers, the UAW is now trying to unionize the entire non-union auto sector. That would include some popular and well-driven brands like Toyota, Volkswagen, and Tesla. What do you make of this?
Yes, do it.
From the Democrats' view.
Look, my dad was a Teamster. My teeth are straight because my dad was a Teamster, right?
Okay.
And I think that the unions have brought middle class to the entire country. And I think Elon Musk has had too good of a life up till now. Let him have to fight this fight, which he's going to lose, by the way. Because
I'm not sure this is an Elon story, though,
No,
because like when you look at union, the UAW, it was something like 1.5 million workers.
This man said Elon Musk has had too good of a life up till now. Elon Musk has had too good of a life up till now. I've never subscribed to the idea of haterism or people looking to come up off of you because they don't like what it is that you have. I have never heard of such a mindset growing up, and that wasn't really a thing until I got on the internet. I'm going to be real with you. I have never heard anybody in my life say that somebody else has had too good of a life up till now, and so that's why they want to unionize, or that's why they want to take over, or that's why they want to go and do whatever it is that they want to do. But the UAW launches an unprecedented push and organized 13 automakers in the U.S., outside of the big three, obviously. After winning record labor contracts this month with the Detroit 3 companies, the United Auto Workers is now taking on all non-union automakers operated in the United States in a massive, unprecedented public organizing campaign. I told y'all that this is what the play was. This is why they spent so much time advocating for promoting and doing all of this Facebook Lives and YouTube Lives and all of this stuff. They spent a lot of time promoting and getting the visibility behind it because the goal wasn't necessarily just to get a record contract. The goal was to look forward to grow the organization, considering that they're not necessarily growing, they're preserving jobs, and that the union is at its lowest membership in a long time. And so as a result, they were looking to get visibility into the other automakers across the United States of America, and they weren't talking to us. They were not talking to the union membership when they were doing these lives. Sean Fain was talking to auto workers at other non-union workplaces, including Toyota, Honda, Tesla, and everybody else. So you got to look at the play. The play is never what's directly in front of you. The play is what's in front of them. The play is never what's directly in front of you. It's what's in front of them. They said on Wednesday, the UAW said workers at more than a dozen non-union automakers across the United States have announced simultaneous campaigns to join the UAW. That means thousands of non-union workers are signing cards at the new UAW webpage, uaw.org/join, and are publicly organizing to join the UAW, the union said in a news release. The organizing drive will cover nearly 150,000 auto workers across 13 automakers in the release. That was the goal. Shout out to Buy FM. Yep, that was the goal. The goal was never to necessarily get you guys a 46% pay raise that they said that they was going to get. The goal was to unionize at other automakers in order to continue to boost the ranks of the UAW itself. Now, considering that, Ford is saying that they have to add, and this is what they announced to shareholders this week. They said that they're adding $8.8 billion in additional costs because of the 2023 UAW contract, and then they revealed the plans to be able to pay for it.
Ford joining GM and issuing new guidance to Wall Street. Phil LeBeau is here, and he's got the details on that. Hi, Phil.
Hey, Becky, this is new guidance from Ford for 2023. Remember, it pulled guidance once the UAW strike was going on because of the uncertainty of what the full cost impact would be. Well, now that they have that, Ford is saying that for the full year, its adjusted EBIT profit forecast, what it expects to earn, will be in the range of $10 to $10.5 billion. Before it pulled its guidance, Ford's estimate for full-year EBIT profit was $11 to $12 billion, so obviously coming down a little bit. Adjusted free cash flow for the year will be coming in between $5 and $5.5 billion. Just for a point of reference, it was $9.1 billion last year.
So ideally, guidance has already been cut, partially because the impact that comes along with dealing with the union and the UAW. When they go on to elaborate, and they said that its labor costs in North America will increase by $8.8 billion over the life of the contract due to gross wages, accelerated wage progression for workers, and cost of living adjustments. It's called COLA. They go on to say the cost effect is anticipated to be about $900 per vehicle in 2028, which Ford will work to offset through higher productivity and lower expenses. Ford said in a news release, renewing its vow to cut costs by also improving quality and identifying new sources of revenue, meaning that they're going to be feeing y'all to death and they're going to be trying to pass this over into the consumer without it being too obvious, in addition to possibly laying some people off, probably white-collar workers. Ford released the information early Thursday prior to the opening of the stock market. Ford Chief Financial Officer is scheduled to discuss the company's growth plan at the Barclays Global Automotive and Mobility Tech Conference later Thursday morning. They did not specify how higher labor costs would impact consumer costs, but Ford spokesman said that the cost is simply not transferred to the retail price. All right, not yet. Right. Conversely, this was a stock play that I actually shared with you guys. General Motors announced a stock buyback.
General Motors providing some guidance for the first time since the UAW strike. We want to get right to Phil LeBeau. He's got the latest on this. Phil?
Becky, take a look at shares of General Motors moving higher as the company announces new guidance for 2023, not dramatically different than the previous guidance, which it pulled during the UAW strike, and also some shareholder actions. Let's start first off with the new guidance. Full year EBIT adjusted earnings of $11.7 to $12.7 billion. Previous guidance was $12 to $14 billion. The EPS, EBIT adjusted, or the adjusted EPS for the full year, $7.20 to $7.70 a share. The street right now is at $7.45. Previous guidance was $7.15 to $8.15 a share. Auto free cash flow of $10.5 to $11.5 billion. Previous guidance was $7 to $9 billion. The company is also estimating that the full EBIT adjusted impact of the UAW strike is $1.1 billion. Now to another reason why shares are moving higher. General Motors deciding, you know what? We paid the union, and now it's time to pay the shareholders. This is a big move. A $10 billion accelerated stock repurchase program is being announced. $6.8 billion of GM shares immediately retired. I did the math. Depending on where they settle out on the trades, it's going to be about 17% of the float that's out there right now. 33% increase in dividend. The quarterly dividend up 3 cents a share, going to 12 cents a share in 2024 in the first quarter. Big moves by.
So, Mary Barra has continued to try to increase the share price, which the stock is up significantly. I actually sold this morning. So I sold it, and then I put the rest of the shares that I made, or the significant profit that I made over at GM when you guys see me buy my GM stock, and then I put that back over to Rivian. So we'll see how that plays out. But GM is basically offering a $10 billion share buyback. It's the automaker's biggest ever stock buyback plan. And Chief Executive Officer, CEO Mary Barra promised better days are ahead, and GM also boosted its dividend by 33% and reinstated earnings guidance after accounting for costs on its new labor contract. All right, so long story short, they're still trying to work on what is in the best interest of the shareholders, which is the owners of the stock, and hopefully we continue to benefit from it as far as the investors. I have divested my entire position inside of GM, and then I've actually allocated that over into Rivian because I like what Rivian is doing. I am not telling you what to do. I am just telling you what it is that I'm doing as far as what my long-term play is, because I see more value in Rivian than I see, or upside in Rivian than I see currently with the General Motors, especially what they have to deal with in the future. Remember, everything that we do from an investment perspective is based off of a long-term 8 to 10 year view, not necessarily what's happening short term. So I took my profits and the profitability that came along with investing in GM shares, and then we pulled that out, and then we're going to reallocate that to whatever it is that we think is the most important thing for us to allocate that to as far as our long-term perspectives and investments. All right. So that is Quick Hits, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you continue to find value in what it is that we're doing. Let me go ahead and read some of the super chats, and let's get started with the show. All right. Couple of super chats. Trey Gang says, how can I join the Patreon? How can I join the Patreon? Well, I would advise everybody to join the Patreon tomorrow, all right? Because it's the last day of the month, and the best day to join the Patreon is the first day of the month, all right? Wait till tomorrow to actually join the Patreon, and then I am going to drop a video that afternoon in order to be able to add value into you guys' lives, and hopefully that really set y'all off and get y'all started with 2024. Wait to join the Patreon till tomorrow. Put it on your calendar. Put an alarm on your phone. Join it tomorrow, not today. Join it tomorrow, not today. All right. David Simpson is in the building. Says UAW is the whaler and Tesla is the big white whale. Yeah, I seen Elon Musk speaking about how much he didn't necessarily like unions, but that's to come. Eric Harris says UAW is a virus. Y'all are anti-union for real. J-Rock24K said, I need help with my thought demands. Seriously. Shout out to my dog, Freezy. All right, y'all ready to get started and get it popping with the show for real, for real? All right, let's get it started. You know where we going first. Shout out to Chicago. Now, over in Chicago, the crime wave continues. I've pivoted from talking only about what is happening from a broad view in Chicago to talking about what's happening long-term with Chicago. And then I pivoted from what's happening long-term of what I think is going to happen and using my predictive or my perspective to predict what's going to happen long-term into going extremely short-term, meaning that every piece of news that we have for Chicago lately and including today is based off of what's happened over the last 24 hours. Let me say it again for the people in the back. Every piece of news that we're sharing with related to Chicago is news based off of what's happened over the last 24 hours. Okay? Let's go ahead and get into it.
A disturbing crime in Lake County. A woman's body dumped on the side of the road.
Nate Rogers is live with the latest tonight from Old Mill Creek.
That's right, guys. In fact, we learned that the woman's body was actually wrapped in a plastic bag. She still remains unidentified at this time. Police right now working on finding as many leads as they can. Look closely at the far right of your screen. Lake County officials recovering a woman's body inside a black plastic bag on the side of the road. It happened around 7 a.m. along Hunt Club Road, just south of 173 here in Old Mill Creek. Deputies received several 911 calls before responding.
Based on preliminary information, it appears she's in her 30s or above, and she did sustain trauma to her body. Sheriff's detectives responded and do believe that she is the victim of a homicide. Based on the facts as we know them at this time, it would appear that her body was dumped at this location and the actual homicide did not occur there.
Authorities not releasing too many details about the case just yet. The woman's body was located less than 2 minutes from I-94, surrounded by farmland with no surveillance cameras in sight. Also, only 3 homes in the immediate area. Neighbors telling Fox 32 off camera they didn't see any activity beforehand. Police hope autopsy results will provide further details into how the victim was killed. Canine units also at the scene, sniffing and searching for any leads to the killer.
One of the things that detectives will do is search through any missing persons that we have open, any that in greater Lake County are in existence. And if they come up with dead ends there, they'll broaden that search and reach out to regional law enforcement across the state.
And one resident we spoke to off camera about this absolutely stunned, saying she did not see any of the activity before all of this transpired. Again, limited details from authorities right now. We know that the victim is a white woman, apparently in her 30s. Authorities telling us no suspects in custody at this time.
So, you got a snow hare that found themselves under the duress of whomever, wherever. Nobody has a lead. Nobody knows what a suspect is. Nobody is aware of what happened. So they drove them out into a Chicago suburb and then dumped the body basically on the side of the road. Basically wrapped her up in a plastic bag and discarded her body like she was nothing. And you don't think that spirits are real, or that we're living in the end of times, or that we're battling against spirits and principalities? Oh. It's real. It's realer than ever. It's realer than you could ever imagine. You don't believe me? Okay. So let's see what else happened over the last 24 hours.
2 postal workers robbed in Forest Park just days apart. Police there arrested someone they believe is connected to at least one of those thefts. And now Illinois Senator Dick Durbin wants to put postal police back on the street to protect workers. Our Tara Molina has been tracking postal carrier robberies and takes a look at this proposal.
We've tracked the crimes across our area, and they're getting worse, with assaults against postal workers up more than 230% in the last 3 years. The group that represents letter carriers here say this proposed legislation is a long time coming. Putting postal police back on the street, with Senator Dick Durbin introducing a proposal for a new law that would allow the Postal Service to assign postal police officers to protect workers against robberies.
What century are we living in to where, number one, we've taken money away from the budget in Illinois and Chicago to allocate towards things that does not help residents and is not meaningful to the people within the city, right? And it used to be, as far as I know, because even in my hoods in Detroit and stuff, we don't have in the city of Detroit, and majority of the places in the city, the postal workers always walk their beats. So out in the suburbs, most postal workers just get in and they drive on the left side of their car, and then they just throw the mail inside of the little thing, and they never really get outside of the car. But inside of the city of Detroit specifically, and I'm assuming it's the same over in Chicago, postal workers walk their beats, meaning that they have to park their car, fill their bag up with mail, and then continue to go door to door, hood to hood, space to space, and then throwing mail inside of the mailbox. Now, regardless of how bad it used to be, regardless of how bad it got, the thing about it was that you never got on a postal worker. We were so cool with our post office guy. It's funny. He used to put his bag down. I don't know if it was his break. I don't know if he was just getting extra overtime or whatever. He would put his bag down and he would hoop with us in the summertime. And he had game too. He had game. He had stamina. I don't know if it was just because he was walking that beat every day, but he had game. So our postal worker used to put his bag down and hoop with us, and he'd be all sweaty, and then he'd hit right back on his route, and he'd be in the streets throwing the mail and kicking it. I have never in my life heard of postal police. Maybe it was a time that it happened. I'm not sure what area that it was in. Maybe it happened before I was even born, but I have never in my life heard of postal police. I've never heard of it before. We can't get any officers or enough officers hired in Chicago and New York and all of this stuff. But now we have to get police officers just to be able to get you your checks, you your mail, and you whatever it is that you're looking for in the mail. Never mind the packages, the people that's stealing all of the packages and the thieves, because that's always been a big thing over the last few years, especially during the pandemic, right? So package thieves is completely different. But the United States delivering your mail is literally almost like a human right. I mean, they practically should have wrote it inside of the Constitution. That is a human right. And the postal workers, the robberies from postal workers are going up at a rate over in Chicago at about 230% every year is going up. If you got a job and you're going out there to deliver the mail, it's already cold outside in the Windy City, you getting robbed. What could you possibly rob the postal worker of? They ain't even got nothing. They don't even have nothing. What could you possibly rob the postal worker for?
Happy that he is taking the approach to do something, to get something done for us.
It's a proposal workers here in Chicago want to see made into law, according to Elise Foster.
They want to see postal police, somebody out there patrolling. The workers here in Chicago, they're fed up. They're scared and they want to know what's going on. They want to see more.
She represents more than 5,000 Chicago area workers as president of Branch 11 of the National Association of Letter Carriers. With 2 postal workers robbed at this Forest Park intersection in a matter of days. The first, Saturday. Police tell me a man approached the postal worker outside of his truck and said, "I don't want to hurt you," robbing him of his master keys, allowing access to multiple mailboxes. Then another robbery here Tuesday. This time, police say a worker was delivering mail when a man approached and said, "Gimme them keys," showing the worker a black handgun, robbing the worker again of master keys.
Gimme them keys. Gimme them keys. Yo, don't you know that stealing mail, let alone robbing a postal worker, is like a major federal offense? You didn't know that? Stealing mail, going and taking people's mail. Look, I remember during the recession back in like 2008, 2007, 2008, when everything started getting bad. And one of the things that I used to do, ignorantly, obviously, was I would leverage wherever it was that I was working at that particular time. So I would give me a little job here and there or whatever. And then on my break, because I knew that they wasn't monitoring the amount of things that you can print, I would print off the flyers for whatever it was that I was promoting at a local level, because I've always believed that you got to get hot locally before you start to get hot internationally, right? And so I would print out as many flyers as I can get, right? And so not only did I print out the physical flyers, but then I got smart enough to not doing them as single pages, and then I started making them smaller, and so I would do them in 4s. So I went and ordered a, cutter, and then we would print them out in 4s, and then I would cut it, vertically and then cut it horizontally. So every page actually produced 4 flyers. And we would go around, right? I would go around on my breaks or any additional time that I would have. I've always been a hustler. I've always hit the streets. I would go around and I would drop a flyer in everybody's mailbox, everybody's mailbox, everybody's mailbox, everybody's mailbox. I would hit every mailbox with flyers. Well, what I didn't know was that you are not supposed to be putting flyers inside of people's mailbox. You can attach it with a rubber band on the front of their door. You can put it on the bottom of the stand or something like that. But I quickly found out the hard way because, me, I was going to hit every single house, every single street, hitting the suburbs, the city, and everything, right? I quickly found out as soon as I started getting into the more affluent areas, police was like, "Hey, you can't be putting flyers inside of the postal. If that's not official mail, you cannot be stuffing your own personal stuff inside of the mailbox." I didn't know. I was going to learn that day. So basically what you have to do, and part of the reason that they were doing that was because they're encouraging you to get basically a paid mailing, right? So I think that you have to go through the post office, go to get a paid mailing at that time, and then they would make it a part of the Sunday paper or whatever like that. And so when your Sunday paper get delivered or something like that, it then goes out to all of the different places and the locations, so you would have to get it paid. Well, Anton wasn't trying to pay no money, so I had to readjust and figure out what my foot campaign was going to be. My point is this. They was not playing even when I was just trying to put my flyer inside of a mailbox. And y'all are out here basically finessing and stealing, killing, and robbing postal workers. Do you know that they will take you to jail and throw away the key? They will take you to jail and throw away the key. If they look, it's not even like a regular offense towards a regular person, as bad as that is, because that's a felony too. But when you put your hands or rob or stop somebody from being able to deliver the mail, they will throw away the key. They do not play no games when it comes to these postal workers. But apparently the people in Chicago, they got balls. They ballsing.
Forest Park Police and U.S. Postal investigators just arrested a man they believe is behind at least one of those robberies. He dropped a loaded gun during an attempt to get away from police during the arrest.
We the ones is on the street.
Foster tells me it's an example of what workers in Chicago are dealing with far too often, and it's time for change.
Leave us alone.
Flip that. Flip side, let me tell you what else has happened over the last 24 hours. Just one of about 8 different videos that I had to be able to choose from. Let me tell you what else is going on.
More breaking news tonight from Chicago's West Side. 4 people shot in the city's Holman Square neighborhood. Police are still on the scene right now. We're told a 30-year-old man is in grave condition. The 3 other victims are women. One of them is in serious condition.
Have you noticed a pattern that as we navigate through, and I do this early part of the show where I'm basically showing you what's happening as far as crime across the country, that the majority of the people that get assaulted, that get shot, that get hurt, that end up in a body bag and is on the side of a road is women? One man, 30 years old, survived. All the other 3 of them was women. One man shot, and in this particular instance, the other 3 was women. That's just in that one particular clip. The other clip, a woman on there advocating for y'all to leave them alone so that they can deliver the mail. The other clip, woman found in a black plastic bag, rolled up, dumped on the side of the road. Investigators say it's a strong possibility that that whatever it is happened to her, anticipating it being ruled as a homicide, happened away from it. Then they wrapped her up in a body, tossed her in a car, and then dumped her on the side of the road. All of this is in Chicago or the Metro Chicago area. 2 things that we can take from it. Again, I will not let up. I will not sleep until we start to rein in things, invest more into the things that actually matter on the behalf of the residents, change the culture, and then last but not least, ladies. Ladies, it's not safe out here by yourself. I hate to say it. I hate to emphasize it like this, but I'm just telling you, it's not safe for you out here by yourself. I know that y'all think y'all strong. I am woman, hear me roar. It's not safe for y'all out here in these streets. When I see women out here in the streets, just willy-nilly out here having a good time, and they don't have a partner, and when I say a partner, somebody with them in a group or a man with them, I cringe. Even right now to this day, I cringe. Because anything could happen, and if anybody is trying to do something, whether they're trying to rob you or get at somebody, or if they just, trying to participate in a crime of opportunity, they're more likely to get at you because you are the weaker link, you are the weaker vessel. If it's a guy over there walking and it's a woman over there walking, who you think that they're going to choose as far as trying to get the least resistance? Who do you think that they're going to choose as far as the path to least resistance? I'm not even talking about on no gender war type of stuff. I'm talking about logically, it's not safe for you out here in these streets. Stop trying to be us, because I don't even want to be out here past a certain time in spaces that I'm not supposed to be in, because I know that it's just a crime of opportunity and I'm not just automatically exempt from it just because I'm a man. You don't even have hey, you know what the thing about women is? How come they women intuition never works when you need it, when it's meaningful? How come a woman's intuition is never accurate when it's time to vet when a guy is supposed to be for them, as far as opening up their legs and then having a child with a man that they're not supposed to have, going in spaces and operating like men in spaces that they're not supposed to be in? Being able to sense when somebody is finessing them and feeding them a load of crap in order to continue to sell books or something over into them. How come women intuition never works when you need it, but it only works when it's not meaningful for things that doesn't actually help anything? That is the weirdest thing that I've ever seen in my entire life. A woman's intuition does not go past her nose, but it doesn't necessarily work when she needed to. Maybe it's broke. Maybe y'all got that broke intuition. Maybe your intuition got broken at birth or something. It's a lot of women's intuition that's just incredibly off. Y'all spidey senses is not on at all. Crazy. Let me go ahead and read a couple of these super chats and then we're going to move on with the show. Wealth Building Journey says, I'm telling you time martial law is coming. No, it ain't. You know why? Because it also helps as far as population control. When we talking about the Millionaire Morning Show, it always comes back down to the money. So you're keeping a lot of people employed, right? There's a lot of incentive to continue to keep crime high, but they're trying to make sure that you see the thing about being a politician is most politicians understand that crime has to be balanced. It's not just keeping it high or solving for it. They're keeping it balanced because there's entire industries that then become dependent on it in order to continue to make a lot of money as a result of it. If they're going to petition the federal government for more resources for this, have y'all ever heard of certain grants or monies being granted over to a specific municipality and they have to use the money and it's been allocated for this because this is the thing that they lobby for? There's an entire racket that comes along with keeping people employed and a lot of money that's being deployed based off of all of the crime and the incentives that come along with keeping your neighborhoods and the places that you frequent under duress. And so if you don't personally within your own environments and communities and cultures make a conscious decision to say we don't want this and we want to reallocate the monies towards things that's more meaningful and abundant for the community, then they're going to continue to do so. And more importantly, here's the other part of it that people don't really understand. The majority of the resources that are then allocated for your community a lot of times is controlled by the police department. And so you building a rapport and a relationship with the police department often at times can yield better results as far as where it is that you're spending your grant monies and all of that. But because people are not a participant in what's happening in their communities and knowing their treasurers and city council people, that's why churches often at times have a great relationship with the municipalities and the police department because that's where the majority of the monies are allocated from or to in order to distribute over into the community. Y'all don't know. Y'all don't know. Y'all don't understand. Let me continue. Kojak says, interfering with the U.S. mail is an automatic 25 years in the federal penitentiary. My parents retired from the USPS. They do not play. Chauncey is in the building, said, I got this 2-ball for you. He wrote 50. Maybe he's saying that in his heart he's giving 50, but he really is contributing 2. Listen, I appreciate the 2. I appreciate the 150. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Chauncey and everybody contributing into the platform. Self-Made Forever says, AD, 16-year-old boy dies beating off 42 times. Woman self-deletes after beating off on a beach. Mental health and spirits is crazy right now. Also, the Epic machine now also allows you to hologram and communicate for $7,000. Send that to me in my email. Mark Rodriguez says, saw you last night at the Detroit Lakers game. Shout out to my people that hollered at me at the Lakers game. Says, but I want to say that this migrant thing is really an attack, but because there's kids involved, they're playing on American sympathy and a weak president. Shout out to everybody that seen me, hollered at me, kicked it with me at the Lakers-Pistons games. I got out of there after the third quarter. LeBron sat down after he had dunked and then slapped the backboard. I said, I'm walking out of here. I'm not doing this nonsense. So I left, and then I went on ahead and cooked up on the Anton Daniels channel. Make sure y'all go and tap into that. Shout out to my dog, Mark Rodriguez, in the building. I appreciate you and everybody that hollered at me at the Lakers game. Let's continue over with the show, ladies and gentlemen. So, interestingly enough, let's go down to Southern Texas because I want to give y'all some insight on what's happening down here in Southern Texas. Sorry about the camera. Let's go ahead and get into it.
You now to a News Nation exclusive. You know we have kept a highlight on the southern border for years at this point where our cameras were rolling when human smugglers let a family through a hole that they cut in the border wall.
So you see the family actually make their way through. The leader of the smuggling group then actually motioned to our News Nation crew to come over. He apparently wanted to have some type of conversation. And Allie Bradley is certainly on top of all of this. She joined us live this morning for more on the story and what they had to say. Allie.
Yeah, hey, Adrienne, good morning. Right now, we're out here in Lukeville. There's about 600 people right now. A lot of them are huddled around fires that they've made out here. And that's a scene that we've been seeing play out down here as they're waiting. Some of these folks are waiting 2 to 3 days because of family units are prioritized. And as you just saw, family groups continue to pour across the border.
The news crew is sitting, watching families huddled, preparing and waiting after and before just walking into the country with no resistance whatsoever. Let's back up for a minute. The news crew is showing them huddled around a fire, hanging out at the border, because there's no restrictions, resistance, or technology to stop them from getting in at all. Nothing. Nobody. Everybody just hanging out. They go in and they come back. They're going to go home over there and then they're going to come back over here when it's convenient for them because they ain't even tripping about it. They having a conversation with the news crew at the border. Oh, man, this is crazy, man.
And the cartels have really figured out that it's a really efficient way to get people across is by cutting holes in the wall. And they're also tying up Border Patrol when they're doing that. So here in Lukeville, we watched as one of 3 criminal cartel SUVs actually rolled up. And a lot of times they're blacked out at night. They don't even have their lights on. But it's all orchestrated. They are controlling all of this. You watch 8 people pour out of that car. They're escorted to the wall by smugglers. And then you see them cross through a hole.
That ain't black. That's a white SUV, and it looked like a Tahoe.
That hole was cut by them. The migrants then tell me they're from Peru. So you can see the older gentleman. He only has one leg. He needed some help getting through the breach point there.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on, family. Hold on, family. What up, Carrie? You're a little late, but I'm going to give you a pass because you was on a live stream last night with me watching. Not coming over with a sweater tied around your neck. Hold on. Wait a minute. You telling me homie came over here with one leg. He got his Coogee sweater. Hold on 1 second. Not coming over with the walker and the Coogee sweater wrapped around your neck. Right after they cut the hole in the wall with no kind of resistance whatsoever. Oh, man. No. Oh, no. Freaky Jason, tell me it ain't so. Tell me it ain't so. Tell me you didn't just walk over here with a Coogee sweater wrapped around your neck with one leg and a walker getting dropped off in a white Tahoe by somebody that just literally cut a hole in the fence. Come on, man. Come on, man. What we doing out here in these streets, man?
When they're done, that smuggler motioned for me to come over. So I went over there and I was standing there talking with him, and he was telling me that he didn't want me to record him. So he started recording me. And then he also said that he was not cartel and he was not a coyote, even though we literally just saw him push people through a hole in the wall. And he went on to say that he wouldn't show me his face, he wouldn't tell me his name, but he just wanted to continue to record me because of who I was and what I looked like, calling me beautiful. So it was a little bit ominous.
Hey, not the migrant then already got the little kitties over and the one-legged man, and he pulled out his phone and said, "What's up, beautiful? I just want to record you because I want to have a conversation." Not the Riz at the border. Come on, man. Come on. I agree, Mellyville. This is crazy. It's cold as ever outside over here. And my man pulled up, dropped off the kids at the border and the one-legged man. They walked right on in. Not a problem. And then he was like, "Hey, baby, come here." He ain't running. He ain't tripping. He ain't worried about Border Patrol. He ain't worried about nothing. They pulled up, got a full tank of gas, dropped the kids off, and then wanted to get at the reporter and said, "Hey, baby, why don't you turn the camera off and let's have a conversation?" What the heck? What is going on in the United States of the Americas?
And a little bit eerie to have that conversation with him. He even, when he was in the breach point in that hole, he even flexed at one point. They were kind of taunting us all throughout all of this, and he pulled out.
Because they don't care.
Recording me. And, you know, at this point, 2 hours later, we saw the same group roll back up. And this time, they were cutting a new hole in the wall. It wasn't even a football field away from the hole that was already open. They used an electric saw and drills, and they even brought out a generator at one point. So the plan was to cut the base of that bollard and then hitch it to a vehicle and pull it off of the wall altogether. There's actually bollards that are on the Mexico side that they've already done this to. And while they were out there, they're standing out there taunting us. They were blowing kisses at me. They were laughing. They just continued cutting through that wall. This is pretty much a big game to them at this point, a very lucrative game at that. But we did call Border Patrol. Border Patrol was able to respond out there, and within moments they had stopped, but moments later, they were doing it at another place. Now, I do want to mention to you here, Marky, that I just talked to two little girls from Ecuador who are out here by themselves. Their mom is apparently out here, a 10-year-old girl and a 7-year-old. And they were crying, and they were visibly scared. And I was doing my best to talk with them. I gave them some words, trying to calm them down a little bit, but they just wanted their mom. And honestly, I asked Border Patrol, how are we going to link them back up with their mom? They said they're going to do their best, and they just... Sometimes it doesn't happen like that, Marky.
Yeah, and, you know, you hope that the mom...
Honestly, I'm ashamed right now. I'm genuinely ashamed. I grew up thinking that this was the greatest country on the face of the earth. I did not know that we was basically operating a third world country and pretending like and using the facade of the American flag in order to emphasize and try to keep us as patriots. Is this what our ancestors died for, building this country? And I'm not just talking about slaves. I'm talking about Native Americans fighting alongside slaves, black people, construction workers, forefathers, army, military, Navy, Air Force. Is this the thing that we built this country up to be? You know how many people shed blood and fought for different things that's happening in this country, and they just taunting you. They just look at you. Let me pull this up. I just need to pull this up. Military budget, 2023. The military budget, I'm going to just read it. According to usaspending.gov, usaspending.gov, based off of the Department of Defense, all right? Each year, federal agencies receive funding from Congress known as budgetary resources. In full year 2023, the Department of Defense, the DOD, had 1.52, y'all got to hear this, 1.52 trillion distributed amongst its 6 sub-components. Agencies spend available budgetary resources by making financial promises called obligations. This is according to usaspending.gov. 1.52, no, not 1 trillion, 1 trillion plus 500 billion more in one fiscal year. $1.52 trillion allocated in full year 2023. And this is y'all money. This is y'all tax money. This is your tax money. And then I deep dove a little bit more on Statista.com. Says the United States led ranking countries with the highest military spend in 2022 with $877 billion US dedicated to the military. That constituted nearly 40% of the total military spending worldwide that year, which amounted to $2.2 trillion US.
Really is there somewhere in that proximity. And you've seen so much so close up in person. In that moment, when you were talking to that cartel smuggler on the other side of the, were you nervous? Are there Border Patrol agents nearby? I mean, I'm just thinking about your security as well.
You know, I've seen a lot down here, as you've said, and that was probably the closest violation of safety that I felt down here. There was no Border Patrol around. It was me and a independent journalist down there. And honestly, I go by my gut all the time. And that one shook me a little bit. I did not want to approach him. I asked him, do you have a gun? Are you going to hurt me? And he said no, and he just kept summoning me over. And I just kind of took the chance, and it did not feel safe.
That's how you get them. That's how you get these hoes. That's real talk. They always get curious until the curiosity catch you. It happened the same way in your local bar. They scared, but they're enthralled. They're super interested in what you got to do and what you got to say. Ooh, you seem dangerous. I know it's not safe for me to come over there. I know you can't speak English. I know you got your camera out. I know you got a mask on. But let me come over there and talk to you anyway. Shout out to my snow hairs. But I know you're trying to understand, Anton. Well, why is Brandon Johnson that person at the bottom of the page when you're talking about these people? Well, do you remember all of those pastors that were standing around Brandon Johnson when he was going back and forth with reporters and telling them about where it is that he stands as far as this migrant crisis that's happening over in Chicago? Well, police officers finally had enough, and they said, we putting y'all out of the police station over here in Chicago.
Today marks day one of the city's new initiative to tackle the migrant crisis by partnering with churches to take in asylum seekers.
CBS 2's Andrew Ramos was in Pilsen, where migrants arrived at one of those temporary church shelters.
Now, Dunamis Life Church here in Pilsen, among the 17 churches across the city expected to take in asylum seekers in the next coming days. The goal is to keep them safe from the cold and then get them ready to live on their own. The smiles and the sense of relief were hard to miss. Wednesday morning, dozens of asylum seekers who for months called the 5th District Police Station home boarded buses to start a new chapter. As many as 40 of them being transferred to churches on the south side, where they'll each get a bed to call their own and receive accommodations they haven't had for months. It's all part of Mayor Brandon Johnson's new initiative, where the city will be partnering with 17 churches citywide to take in migrants.
Now, here's my question. And I don't know, but I'm absolutely, positively curious. And if you guys are not asking similar questions, then you should. Okay. Now, they're moving these migrants because they, uncomfortable, and the police is starting to get them outside of the police department because they were sleeping right next to your local detective that was investigating whatever problem that was happening. Here's my question, and you guys need to be asking the same question. Is there resources and money's being allocated over into these black pastors' churches to ensure that they're housing these migrants that's a part of your local budget. You got to ask the questions. And it doesn't mean that the churches is not doing what they believe is right, but I'm trying to understand if there's a financial incentive to get these people staying at these 17 churches that are spread out all across Chicago, including the South Side. Does it actually shore up the church's money and budget, and what's happening to the building fund? See, my mind always trying to figure out, where does this come back to the money? I always want to understand where it comes back to the money. And so we see this feel-good story that's being painted in front of us. And oh my God. Oh, let me take this Coogee off. I was talking about the migrant crisis. You know, my man had came across the border with his Coogee on, and he was like, what up, though? You know, the people come by and they say, oh my God, we got to make sure that we help the people. How much are Chicago taxpayers paying churches that you guys say that you don't even go to anyway in order to make sure that these migrants are housed? Now, I don't know. I can't assume that they're paying anything because I don't know. But the question still remains, and I'm very, very curious, and I'm trying to understand, where is it going? Where is the money going? And is it going to the church, or is it staying within the city budget? Are they doing it just out of the kindness of their heart? And who's close to Mayor Johnson as far as having conversations based off of the fact that him declaring this to be a crisis gives him power and autonomy to do whatever it is that he want to do when he want to do it when it comes to the budget that's aligned with the migrant crisis. So when I seen all of the pastors that was hanging around Brandon Johnson, I didn't just by default say that these pastors would just wanted to show up to pray for Brandon Johnson. I'm always trying to understand, well, where does it come back to the money? And why are they so willing to stand in front of this guy or next to this guy, considering that this guy is under fire? He's on the news every single day. Live streams come across the TV as far as highlighting how this migrant crisis is absolutely bad. Why would they put themselves in harm's way as far as the congregation and the people that may or may not stand with whatever it is that's happening within their city? And why are they so incentivized in order to stand next to Brandon Johnson? So now for me, it's all starting to click. It's all starting to make sense. Where does this come back to the money? Where does this come back to the money? Where does this come back? How much of the budget is being allocated to the Episcopal Baptist Church in order to make sure that they house, feed, clothe, and give healthcare coverage and get these people back and forth to wherever their destination's at, considering that the money that's for the building fund is down because everybody is broke and ain't nobody got no money from inflation? I'm going to stay on it. I'm going to stay on it. I'm going to stay on
Providing them shelter and resources for up to 60 days, where the goal is to transition them to living on their own.
Their biggest question was, can we stay close so that we can, find work?
Pastor looking real dope. Pastor looking clean. Hair is looking good. Got his hair slicked back, looking good. I see you, Pastor John Zayas. And I don't know who senior Pastor John Zayas is. I don't know anything about it. He probably is just doing it for free or out of the goodness of his heart. I know that he said that he recently hired some migrants and they working at the church and on the church and they cleaning up the church. And so he has more donations than he can ever imagine as far as the physical stuff. So much so, as I did a live stream based off of something that he said, that they had to stop people from giving physical clothing as donations to the church because it was runneth over. Their cup runneth over. So let's continue.
To live, things like that, and so we accommodated that.
We got a peek inside this temporary shelter at Dunamis Life Church, where it could hold a maximum of 20 individuals at a time, which will be standard at all 17 participating churches. The transition is being met with much relief from asylum seekers.
We're going to help them with mental health, which is so needed as they trek their journey across jungles and went through all kinds of who knows what.
Back at the 5th District Police Station, volunteers like Denise Rojas and Nancy Johnson say the day is bittersweet. They have been on the front lines assisting in the migrant crisis since the beginning.
Yeah.
They understand the obstacles and hope the city is now better equipped to handle any future surges of arrivals.
Got it.
They should have never, these people, since they were welcomed, they should have never had to experience this, sleeping outside in these harsh conditions and these harsh weathers.
Clearing out police stations as well as those still left at O'Hare Airport is going to be an effort that continues for the next couple of days. The 17 churches are going to be able to accommodate up to 300 migrants in total.
Somebody in the chat said, what about our vets? Somebody in the chat said, how come we not deploying more resources in order to take care of the people that's already here? Somebody in the chat said, this is where our dollars is going. Yep. This is where your dollars is going, ladies and gentlemen. Let me go ahead and read some of the super chats because we got to continue over with the show. We got to get to it, y'all. We got to get to it, y'all. Lil Black Duck 2001 is in the building, says, so beating off 41 times is a limit? Got it. That's crazy, y'all. That's crazy. That is crazy. Y'all got something in y'all. It's something. Y'all ever seen that movie Constantine? Where the dude drunk himself to death. He's drowned himself in water or whatever when he went into the thing. It's like those type of things that's on y'all. AL says all the Pistons stay getting cooked. All right, I give you that. I was there to watch Anthony Davis and LeBron anyway. I got my fix. I got up out of there. David Simpson Jr. says, Coogee sweater now, living better now. I hope Puff got all of his money set up. Jay Ben is in the building, says, not even going to hold you. Breaking in anywhere lacking the ability to run is diabolical. Peg leg is certified menace. Is this South Park's episode? Yep, it sure is. Bag for Bag is in the building, says, when you got a dinner date at 6, then you cross the border at 8. You know what I'm saying? I agree. Hold on. Let me give a shout out to my girl, Natasha Holiday. Says, I got you, boo. Thank you, Natasha Holiday, for the 2 ball. I appreciate you. Thank you to everybody that contributed over into the platform. This was actually something that I wanted to talk about yesterday, but everything is time permitting, so we have to be careful what it is that we cross over into. And I thought that there was more meaningful things. Shout out to it's your birthday, Natasha. Hold on. Let me come back to this. Can we get a round of applause and a birthday celebration over there for Natasha? Can we get a birthday celebration? Can we all get a round of applause inside of the chat for a happy birthday for Natasha? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Natasha. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Natasha. Say that. Save that for you. Yeah, you can never say that Anton did not sing and wish you a happy birthday. All right. Shout out to Natasha Holiday. All right. Let's get into the real nitty-gritty of what it is that we want to talk about. There is basically a protest that is happening down in Florida where the students are the ones. Shout out to you. I'm going to be reading that super chat shortly. The students had to stand up for the things that the adults wouldn't do. The students had to stand up for the things that the adults refused to address. Let me bring y'all back down to Florida. Shout out to Event Horizon. I'm going to read that super chat shortly.
They filled the field at Monarch High School, students in support of transgender athletes and in protest of the reassignment of their school principal staging a class walkout. Hundreds gathering, holding signs, and chanting phrases like Trans Lives Matter and Bring Back Cecil.
We all have to work on...
Monarch's principal, James Cecil, reassigned because of a transgender girl athlete who was biologically born a boy, transitioned to a female, and then played on the girls' volleyball team, and that would be a violation of state law.
All right, I got it wrong. Let me repivot. I thought that this was the other way around. This is worse. I thought that this was the other way around, but it's actually the opposite. Let me bring myself to the front of the congregation. I'm going to have to go ahead and start. Because, see, one of the things that I like to do is I like to review this in real time so that we can have a conversation, and then hopefully I can add context. And I'm just as surprised a lot of the time for the stuff that I see pop up on my live stream as you guys, but it's the opposite. Okay, so let me get this correct. The kids are protesting because a biological boy then at some point either transitioned or identified as a girl and then was playing sports. And because that is a violation against whatever sports rules that they have down in Florida, they had to stop it. And so the children are the ones protesting in favor of it. So the world is going to hell in a handbasket at an accelerated pace. You do know that these kids are the leaders of tomorrow. I believe the children of the future. You do. Listen, these are our future CEOs, COOs, CFOs, CTOs, business owners, fathers, husbands, mothers, aunties, uncles, professionals, human resources, church leaders. These children, kids, are the future, and they're the ones determining, and it is basically staging a walkout, advocating for the thing that women in our society is complaining about. So let me ask a question. If the whole high school boys team decided that they wanted to join the girls' swim team, wrestling team, boxing team, whatever team, soccer team, whatever, and they absolutely destroy the women, is that fair too? Let me watch a little bit more of this so I can understand what's going on.
Listen, our first priority are students.
Broward School Superintendent Peter Licata on the principal's reassignment along with 3 other top staffers.
That's not an indication of discipline. It's an indication that we want to make sure that when we investigate it, it's done properly and appropriately. Again, we want to make sure we do this right. Nobody is guilty of anything at this point.
Are y'all scared of the kids? Oh, wait. Where my belt at? Who outside of school? Who decided to stage a protest because they wanted to advocate and write signs and not go to class in the morning? Who? Is it your kid? Because I be mother F if my kid is out there. Oh, this belt don't hit as hard. This that good leather. Hold on. There we go. It's snap. We got that good leather over here. This that leather that stick around way after you done went ahead and did some things out here in these streets, man. You could wear this belt, wear somebody's back out, and then put it back on, and then there ain't gonna be one fray on it. This that good leather. It's that cowhide right here. Y'all scared of the children now? The children of the future is out here making y'all reassign yourselves and your staff members. So they just bullied the principal and they bullied all 3 top staff members in the school out of the school. And y'all over here stuttering, talking about what it is that you want to do for the children. Let me guess, the children choose their parents now, huh? The children determine what the parents is going to feed them to eat too, huh? Okay, all right.
That's what an investigation is for.
On the state's High School Athletic Association's pre-participation physical evaluation form, the question of a student's sex assigned at birth appears at the very top, then 2 additional times on the form. Students' opinions today mainly focused on their reassigned principal.
I feel like he didn't really have a part or say in this, and he's a really kind-hearted man, so free Mr. Cecil guy.
Shaniqua. You know I would Anton love the kids. I love the kids, so I don't mind going in and saying what it is that I really think about what these kids is out here doing. Baby girl. Get the strap. Get the strap. Get the strap.
I hope he gets to maybe a better situation. Hopefully this doesn't end badly for him.
Licata involving Tallahassee and the State Department of Education in on this matter.
We initiated that conversation, just to let them know that we're going to go through. They also recommended make sure you go through the process, make sure you be consistent and fair.
Thanks for watching.
Okay, let me back up. I'm going to pull up another video because, Carrie, I'm just as confused as you are. I'm not even going to front. Carrie, I am just as confused as you are. I don't know if they protesting against the principal. I was confused at the very beginning of this because I thought that the kids was advocating against the thing that was worse for them. But apparently they're advocating for it, but the principal is then reassigned. And so I'm trying to understand. So I'm going to pull this part up so that we can have a more context to this situation before we get the strap.
Tonight, the principal and several staff members at Monarch High School have been reassigned due to an investigation into a transgender student playing on a girls' sports team.
And NBC6's Steve Litz has been looking into the allegation. He's live in Coconut Creek with more on this one. Steve?
Hi, Jackie. Hi, Juwan. This matter was all the talk when classes let out here at Monarch High School in Coconut Creek earlier today. There was a Florida law, guys. It's called Fairness in Women's Sports Act, and district officials say it may have been violated, and the principal and several staff members are being singled out. The principal at Monarch High School in Coconut Creek reassigned amidst a culture controversy. James Cecil facing additional disciplinary action for what school district officials call a possible violation of state law. A transgender female student that's a biologically born boy transitioning to a girl and playing on a girls' team.
Outside headers.
Students say it involved the volleyball team, featured prominently on the school's YouTube account. Students have their opinions.
I mean, I don't agree with that. He shouldn't be able to play on the team. If he's a biological boy, I don't think he should be able to play on a girl.
Finally, somebody that stands up. Enrique over here. Shout out to Enrique. Finally, somebody that stands up and say, you know what? I don't agree. I'm still confused at what position that the principal is standing on and what side of the fence that he's on and why he's being reassigned in the first place. But you got one kid of all of the people that I've seen on this segment of the show that said, listen, I don't agree. I don't agree with the fact that if you are a biologically born male, that you should be able to play on the women's team. Okay. So finally, we got somebody that was raised with some sense. Let me continue so that I can get the full context before I give my thoughts.
If we were to sit here and just get them to go to the boys' basketball team, then it would look like we aren't like supportive of people's, perspectives on things, or like being a girl or a boy or whatever. And this school is like really big on like LGBTQ plus clubs and stuff like that. So it kind of would look like more hypocritical on our part.
Back in 2021.
So the boy stood on business like he was T.I.'s son. The boy stood on business, and then the girl, do y'all see what's happening in our society? Honestly, look, if you want to see the truth of what's truly happening within our culture, and when I say culture, I mean Western culture, all you got to look is how it trickles down into the children. If you want to see what's happening within our culture, when you send your kid to a public school, when you send your child to a public school, you then not only get to see the way in which these children are being raised in their household, now coming into a melting pot, because the kids are the ones that pay for the sins of their parents, right? But you also get to experience how our schools publicly, that is funded with public dollars by the people. Now remember, let's remember this here, y'all, because they want to take God out of the schools. They've already done it. They took prayer out of the schools. They took God out of the schools, and they want to even remove God off of your money. Let me say it again. They took prayer out of the schools. They said that we're going to have a separation between church and state. They took God out of the schools, but they want to be all inclusive when it comes to the things that God is against scripturally. I want to be very, very clear. So now your public dollars that you have to spend with your property taxes and so on and so forth are now being allocated in order to fit an agenda for your children to go into, even if it's against your will, and be subjected to, regardless of where you stand as a parent. Because some people don't have the ability to be able to take their kids out of a specific district or send them to private school or to homeschool them and all of this other type of stuff. So you're subjected to it. And this is why we have to be very, very vigilant of what our cultural norms are. And you can't just say, well, it don't really affect me what happens. No, it does, because it's going to trickle down into your social norms that then indoctrinate your children, because your children are going to be out of the household going into these environments for the next 8 hours every single day. They are going in and they're being trained to think a certain way. And even if you then input into them a certain thing, when they get home, they go home and they get beat with it, and they get beat with it, and they get beat with it, and they get beat with it every single day. Every single day. I know grown men that have no interest in cheating or stepping outside of their environment. But when you continue to put a naked woman in front of them, or a woman that continues to say to him every single day, and she working out, she trying, and she shooting her shot every single day, she said, hey, sexy, hey, beautiful, can I buy you lunch? What's going on with you? Is everything okay? And she hits you and it's multiple women every day. Hit you. What do you think eventually is going to happen to some of the men? Not all. Some of them is able to withstand, and they just able to stand on their square. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that they not affected by it, or they got to pull something up out of them sometimes in order to do so. But what do you think is going to happen if they continue to put themselves in an environment that subject them to a lifestyle that's not conducive to what it is that they need in order to sustain a household? And so when you take kids whose brains, scientifically, their brains are not even fully developed until they're in their early to mid-20s, and you continue to condition them, and you condition them, and you condition them, and you condition them, you condition them, you condition them, you condition them, you condition them every single day, what do you think is going to happen? And now the compromising is playing out right in front of you. So she's basically saying, listen, we don't want people to think that this school ain't all inclusive, because we got a lot of clubs that actually allow for people to do what they want to do. Right after the boy said no, and she got her baby hair swooped over.
People's, perspectives on things, or like being a girl or a boy or whatever. And this school is like really big on like LGBTQ plus clubs and stuff like that. So it kind of would look like more hypocritical on our part.
Back in 2021, the state legislature passed a law addressing this specific matter. It reads in part, athletic teams or sports designated for females, women, or girls may not be open to students of the male sex. A statement of a student's biological sex on the student's official birth certificate is considered to have correctly stated the student's biological sex at birth. The district adding how they are committed to providing students with a safe and inclusive learning environment. And here now is the district statement regarding this matter. The principal at Monarch and several staff members have been reassigned to non-school sites pending the outcome of an investigation into allegations of improper student participation in sports. We did talk with...
Okay, so I got it. The principal is an advocate for that, whatever that is, all right, for the lifestyle that the school is participating in, and they let the biological male then participate in the female sport, okay? The school board did what they were supposed to do. The Broward County Public Schools suspended him or reassigned him and his staff members because they said that, listen, the parents didn't sign up for that. And that's not what the rules are. And you can't just break the rules and do what you want to do when you want to do it. And so what they did was they reassigned them. Instead of firing them, they reassigned them into non-school sites pending the investigation. So they have to investigate the allegations into improper student participation in sports. And then the kids went out and they protested him being suspended because they actually believe that he did the right thing. So the principal then becomes the parent of your children when they're away from school. And you got to be very, very careful. You have to be very, very careful. They don't believe in rules. It only it's mob rules. Mob rules. Rome rules. And so your bad kids is out there protesting and they standing on business, and they're going to be the future leaders of this country. Let me go ahead and read some of the super chats. I just want to bring y'all up to speed of what's happening out here in these streets. Again, shout out to Natasha. Happy birthday to you. Shout out to you. Scooby by Don. Scooby Don says, nah, AD, they got them thought demons Freezy was talking about last night. Facts. You know what I'm saying? Event Horizon is in the building, says, as a vet, I agree. I am so tired of these subsidies being given to people that haven't done anything except feel entitled. Agreed. David Simpson Jr. says they're going to be future voters, and that's the sad part. That's true. William Lucian is in the building, says, what's your thoughts on AI changing the world of CS? Do you think that it makes, I'm guessing he's saying computer science. Do you think that it makes sense to still learn how to write code and program, or just focus on cybersecurity? I think that either one is great. Either one is, I would go into cloud engineering personally. That's the thing that I advocate for, cloud engineering, cybersecurity. But I think that software engineering is still going to be a great field. Anything engineering related should be okay. I think it's fine. I personally would go into cloud engineering or cybersecurity personally. So, but that's just me. J-Rock 24K says, 80, you jumped the gun. We all cooked. Fact. I agree with you. Rod Jones is in the building, says it goes down at the border. Shaking my head. Shout out to Rod Jones. I appreciate you. I'm going to continue to read super chats throughout the show. I got a couple more things that I want to go over before I get y'all out of here for today. Cash Jordan, again, another YouTuber that I really, really love following. I think that Cash Jordan over in New York could quite possibly be one of the best journalists, way better than anything that we see happening on TV. And this is why I love and I try to support content creators, because he almost like on a regular basis is dropping fire every single day. Every single day. Y'all don't know how hard it is or how much work that you have to put in to being a content creator. To be good at your craft and good at what you do, some people, and they work at different capacities and they do it differently, some people work their butts off when it comes to these platforms. I don't understand why content creators don't get enough credit. They think that just because you're not necessarily sitting in an office or in a cubicle taking calls, or you're not necessarily writing code, that this is not something that is very, very, very much way harder than a lot of the stuff that other people do, and to continue to come up with content on a regular basis and add value into people's lives while also entertaining them. I think that Cash Jordan is one of the best to do it, but he's recently dropped a video that basically documented how roughly 120,000 New York City students are homeless. Let's get into it, y'all.
$120,000 New York City students are homeless. Why is no one talking? I cannot imagine being homeless, let alone being a student who's homeless. But unfortunately, that's a reality for 120,000 kids here in New York. And 30,000 students in temporary housing have enrolled in NYC schools since this past summer. Now, being homeless does not necessarily mean a student doesn't have a place to sleep. Many students are in the shelter system, temporary housing like hotels, not necessarily out on the street. Either way, it's a bad situation, and it puts the futures of 1 out of every 9 New York City students in jeopardy. And if you don't graduate, your ability to provide for yourself is going to be in serious jeopardy, especially here in New York. And it's all.
When I first seen this come across my desk and it popped up in my algorithm, I thought that this was referring specifically to college students. I didn't know that this was referring to regular students. Can you imagine? And a lot of us have seen different people throughout society, even when we grew up or whatever. Can you imagine a kid not having anywhere to go when they get off of school? And as a matter of fact, they look forward to school because of the possible school lunches that they can get.
Already very, very hard to get an apartment in New York City right now. The average rent this past year hit $5,600 a month. And to make matters worse,
the average rent in New York is $5,600 a month. Hold on, family. The average rent in New York hit $5,600 a month. That can't be right. Is that accurate? Is that accurate? $5,600 a month, the average rent in New York. Did y'all know that? Y'all got to get out of New York. Y'all got to get out of New York. Real talk. Y'all got to get out of New York. That's not good.
$5,600 rent figure, that doesn't get you like a 4-bedroom or a 5-bedroom apartment that you could conceivably live with someone else in and start a big family. No, that's the average price for any apartment. That includes studios and 1-bedrooms.
1 in 9 students were identified as homeless last.
Studios and 1-bedrooms. That includes studios and 1-bedrooms.
School year.
Sharing in the Bronx, that ratio was 1 in 6 children. The number of students without homes this year is 14% higher than the year before.
Also, many of the new homeless students are newly arrived asylum seekers, many of whom have limited English language proficiency, and they're considered homeless because they're part of the shelter system. Now, this influx of new students, it's a double-edged sword for New York City public schools. The reason it's good is because schools can face budget cuts.
So, a lot of these homeless children, which a lot of them is technically not homeless because they stand in hotels, but they don't have a permanent residence, so they automatically declare them as homeless, or they can be staying in a shelter and so on and so forth. So New York already had a homelessness problem prior to having migrants come over here. So why did they initially? I'm still trying to figure it out, and it doesn't make sense to me. Why did New York or Chicago or Denver or Atlanta or any of these other cities, it's not like you were living in a paradise or the people was absolutely getting it when they was there. But prior to the migrant crisis, why did they designate themselves as a sanctuary city, and why didn't they stand with Texas and Florida and Arizona? If they already had a problem, why are they allocating themselves or designating themselves as sanctuary cities, and they couldn't even fix the homelessness problem that they had within their own environment? That don't make no sense. I don't understand. I'm genuinely trying to figure it out and make it make sense in my mind. How do you do this? Why do you do this? It don't make sense to me. I just did the math with my C student perspective, right? $5,600 a month for 12 months is $67,000 a year. The average household income in the United States of America, I'll pull it up for you. The average household, the real median household income is $74,000, 580 in 2022. A 2.3% decline from 2021, which the average or the real median household income was $76,000. Now it went down to $74,000. It went down to $74,000. So if the average rent in New York is $67,000, and then the average household, the real median income in New York is $74,000 before taxes. Before taxes. The math ain't mathing. And I know I'm slow. I know I'm a C student, but the math is just not adding up for me.
If they have less students this year than they had last year, but the reason that it's bad is because, according to the New York Times, school leaders have anonymously mentioned that the schools aren't doing enough to help these new students.
That is hard for kids to focus, because that's what I'm going through with my kids.
Executive Suite MLE says, Anton, everyone will be homeless at their rate. Okay, well, what's going on? Somebody have to, the math is the math. They're saying that the average rent in New York, meaning that there's some higher and there's some lower. So Executive Suite MLE, explain to me what makes sense then. Explain to me what makes sense. I know you a New Yorker. I seen you. I met up with you at the Bag Chasers event over in New York.
Kareem, a proud father of 5, his family homeless.
It's been really hard.
We met him Wednesday in the Bronx, across the street from the city's main intake center for homeless families.
Man, you got to feel bad.
Hold on, Kareem. Let me bring Kareem back to the front of the congregation. Kareem. Why are you having 5 children with an inability to be able to take care of them? Come on, man. Let's also have a conversation with the full context. Why are you having children, Kareem, and you not really built to be able to take? You living in New York with 5 kids. You know how much money you got to make per year to have a child, let alone 5 in New York. Kareem, why are you having 5 kids over there in New York, family? Honestly, because don't sit here and tell me that it's the society's fault in order to make sure that they're taken care of. I don't want to hear it. Kareem, you over here looking like a rapper. Got your snapback on, hoodie down, hanging out in order to be able to do an interview in the middle of the day. Kareem, what you got going on, fam? You ain't got no dick discipline, big dog? Somebody get Kareem on the line, because I got some questions that I want to ask him as to why it is that he continue to have children and he know he can't afford to do it.
Proud father of 5, his family homeless.
It's been really hard.
We met him Wednesday in the Bronx, across the street from the city's main intake center for homeless families.
Man, you got to feel bad for that parent. He knows his kids are in a tough situation, and he's worried about what their future is going to be like if they can't concentrate and succeed in the one thing that they have to do every single day. When I was in school, it was tough enough to pay attention, and I can't even imagine having to be in an unstable situation every single morning.
Craig, hold on. I'm going to show y'all this comment real quick. Craig, let me get Craig up here to the front of the congregation. Craig says, hold on, I got you, Craig. Craig says, Anton, why are you complaining about how many kids he got? How do you know all these kids have different mothers or the same mother? I didn't know that I had mentioned whether or not they had different mothers or the same mother at all. I said, why you have 5 kids? Listen, I don't care if you had them by all of the same person. Why are you having 5 children in New York, even if it's by the same person, and you can't afford to be able to take care of them? What do I care about whether or not? Because you know what happens? Because then it becomes the taxpayer's responsibility in order to make sure that they're fed, clothed, housed, have medical care, benefits, so on and so forth. What do I care whether or not they all got the same mother or not? What do I care? 5 kids in New York City, unless you are making a significant amount of money, is a bad life decision. What do I care whether or not you had them all by the same mother or not? How is that a factor for whether or not my point still stands? I didn't know that I had asked whether or not he had the same mother or not, or whether I didn't even ask if he was married or not. I said, why are you having 5 kids in New York? What does that got to do with the price of potatoes in China? Listen, I am in Michigan, and I am doing very, very well, and it is very expensive to have one daughter. It is very expensive to have one child. 5? And you hanging out having news conversations on the streets of New York in the daytime? 5 in New York? Come on back to the front of the congregation. Stop acting like this is not an issue.
And trying to focus and do anything.
For so many homeless students, this is the first stop in an academic journey filled with uncertainty and instability.
They're having a trouble with focusing on their schoolwork. A lot of times, teachers don't really know what's going on.
If your living situation ends up being a mess, the things that you
that's your problem. I'm sorry. Strike the N-word from the record. That's a yo problem. That's not the teacher's problem. Man, the teachers don't really know what's going on. They having trouble focusing because they stomach growling. That's a you problem, homie. No, don't blame it on the teachers. Don't blame it on the school. Don't blame it on the city. Don't blame it on the economy. Don't blame it on inflation. That's a you problem, fam. If my daughter is having trouble focusing in school, that's an Anton from AntonDaniels.com problem. That is not a society problem. That is not a society problem. Don't sit here and have no conversation with me talking about, oh man, the teachers don't really know what's going on. That's a you problem, fam. It's the teacher's responsibility to give them what they need from an academic perspective, not to make sure that they feel good when they get there. Before your kids get to see, now you want to have a conversation about why it's a problem for you to have 5 kids and you can't really afford it? Now do you want to have a conversation about it? Because I need these guys to start bringing themselves to the front of the congregation. Don't sit here and tell me that I'm supposed to feel sorry for you. No, I feel sorry for the children that didn't ask to be here, that you are now putting under duress, that's not doing the thing that's in their best interest because they don't have the ability to. What are y'all talking about? Y'all just going to keep on having kids every day? Stop. Slow down. Think about what you're doing. Use a rubber.
End up doing every single morning and every single evening, those are going to affect your education directly, and then that's going to end up being a mess too, and this whole cycle is just going to perpetuate itself. And it's going to take extra resources to help these kids, but city agencies have to make cuts because of the asylum crisis.
And it becomes our responsibility to take care of it.
Data shows the key to addressing society's cycle of homelessness is in the classroom. Students who don't graduate with a high school diploma are 4.5 times more likely to experience homelessness as an adult.
Now, in a city like New York with a homeless crisis, the last thing that needs to happen is for that cycle to continue growing and perpetuating itself. Now, the city's resources for helping struggling kids are stretched super thin, and unfortunately, they can only provide about 1 bilingual social worker for every 560 kids. The city has a total of about 1,700 bilingual educators who are fluent in English and Spanish, and the reason this is important is because many of the new asylum seekers, they speak Spanish as a primary language.
So now we got to accommodate other kids that wasn't supposed to be here in the first place, that cannot even speak English, and they have 1 translator for every 160 people that can't even speak English because they have to be bilingual, which continues to throw more stress on a system that can't even afford, from a budgetary perspective, to even support this in the first place, because New York is literally drowning in debt, and they're cutting billions off of their budget because they can't even have proper sanitation because of the amount of stress that's on the system. Now, do you see why it affects all of us? You can't just do what you want to do when you want to do it, because we all then have to carry the burden of what's happening in society when you vote in people that's not competent at their job, and then they make a mistake or they make a declaration or they decide that they want to do something. Now the taxpayers and the people have to suffer as a result of it. Now do you see why we care? Why do you care how many kids that they got? Because I don't want my resources going to things that's not conducive for what I want my child to go into school for. That's why I care. Because the taxes in New York is the highest in the nation. Because it's the most expensive city ever. Now we got to uproot and move because you decided that, first of all, we had a problem when it came to homelessness and irresponsibility with the culture, but then you threw a bunch of sanctuary cities and migrants on top of it, and now we got to move because we can't really afford all of the resources, and we got to cut back, and we got a rat problem in the city. Come on, man.
Language, but apparently that's not enough bilingual staff, and teachers in the school have reportedly resorted to using Google Translate to get lesson plans in languages all of the students in the class can understand. Now, I've been to Japan 6 times, and I've tried to use Google Translate to talk to people who don't speak English. And even in a modern, sophisticated society where everybody has a smartphone, it's still not something that everybody's used to, and the translations aren't always 100% correct, even though they're better at Japanese than I ever will be. Now, in a perfect world, there would be enough money to have enough bilingual educators to help every kid that needs it, but this is New York in 2023, and that's just not reality right now, unfortunately. On top of that, the city doesn't really have a good plan to get out of this mess.
Which fueled the city's Department of Education to hire 100 community coordinators to work in shelters last year.
Yet, there is no plan after this school year to continue the funding for these positions.
So,
New York is a mess. New York is an absolute mess. It's a hotbed of rats, homelessness, migrants, bad sanitation, horribly ran legislators, blue city, full of crime, and also reducing the police head count because they can't even afford to pay for them no more. This whole country is just going to trash. This whole country is going to trash. Let me read a couple of the super chats, and then I want to share one more thing with you guys that may be a little bit more insightful because it's some news that a lot of people probably are not familiar with, but you should be. All right, 16 Bar King. Oh, you got 16 bars? You got 16. Time is really dope myself. Like I sat in the pot, lit it, and I smoked myself. Had to battle my alter ego and I choked myself. So when I'm sitting amongst people, man, I boast myself, show myself more suave than you is. So when I ride, I lay back sideways like Fabulous Tooth is. Truth is, I do what them hustlers do. It's 24/7 on the block like new kids. Get it? New kids on the block, take the rhymes that you got and spit it back at you with 10 times the value. You got 16 bars. You want to spit it? You want to spit it? Because I will go in. I will take on all challengers. Anybody, any YouTuber that want to put up 16 bars, I will meet you at the gauntlet. I will meet you at the gauntlet. Don't make me start spitting and start freestyling on the show. Don't make me start freestyling on it. Listen, I am a man of many talents. I am a man of many talents. I will wash you. I will wash you. Anybody that want to go bar for bar, any YouTuber, any dude out there, you want to go bar for bar, I will wash you. I will put you under the dirt when it comes to these bars. Who want it? Who want it? Who want it? Yeah. No, it wasn't Hove. Rewind it back. That's 100% Time Dog, and that's from like 15 years ago. That's from like 15 years ago. Hey, go talk to Big Sean and ask him what I did to him at the radio station up at Hot 107.5. I got the footage still for y'all. If y'all want to see that footage, I can release it for y'all. Hey, go talk to Big Sean and tell him what I did on the Friday night freestyles. Hey, the fact that you comparing me to Hove is a compliment, though. Shout out to y'all. See, y'all ain't know that was at any point I could show y'all a new talent. At any point, I could show y'all a new talent. Let me go ahead and read the super chat. Shout out to the 16 Bar King. I ain't know that he was gonna get at up there. Rewind it back. I just dissed you. 16 Bar King says, just make everything co-ed, open tryouts for all genders. Yeah. Hold on. I gotta go into the archives. Let me go into the archives. Hold on. Let me see what's happening. I gotta see if I can find that footage. A young Time Dog out here in these streets doing mean things to people, washing your favorite artists. Let me see what I got up in these streets. Young time dog, older. Hold on one second. I might have to pull out the archive for y'all. I still got the footage. Friday Night Ciphers is in the mix, baby. Friday Night Ciphers out here in these streets. I shouldn't release this type of stuff because then y'all gonna be looking at me funny like Anton used to rap and all of that. No, I'm not gonna do it. Maybe if y'all nice, I'll release it in the Patreon. Maybe if y'all be good to me, I'll release it in the Patreon. Oh man, 16 Bar King, shout out to you. I appreciate you for holding me down. Thank you for the super chat, my friend. AL says, I was homeless most of high school between the street and car until I got enough money to work to get us a motel room, Chicago streets and winters. Dang, Aaron, that's crazy. That's crazy out here in these streets. Classy Beast, you want me to pull up to the studio? You know, I'll pull up to the studio. Ricky Howard says, what up, Anton? I joined the Chasers this month. We need a new family SUV. It's just time. I want to do this the right way. What's your thoughts for us? Is leasing an option as well? I need to know more details before I just tell you. NY Tell them want me to drop it for y'all. I need to know more details before I just say, yeah, go and do it, family. I need to know what y'all making, what kind of debt y'all got, what y'all lifestyle is, how often that y'all drive. I don't think that you should just go out and buy a new car. I don't think that you should finance a new car by default. I don't think that you should just go out and buy a new car or finance a new car by default. I'm not a fan of that idea. I'm not a fan of that idea. I don't like when people do that. So I need to know more details. If I'm you, depending on my circumstance, if I got debt, I'm going to just buy something used. And I need to know why it's just time. Why is it just time? Why is it just, what does that mean by it's just time? I need to know the details of what you got going on out here in these streets, family. Let me know. See if you can type it in the chat. You don't have to put another super chat, but I wouldn't go into more debt just to do it. Let me go on and say, not the belt again, Anton. Shout out to Rod Jones in the building. I appreciate you. JRock24K says, now I understand why you say poor people should not have kids. 5 kids and homeless is crazy, for real. And the interest rates is higher than it's ever been. So be very careful. Shout out to my dog, Fi Brown, is in the building. Fi Brown says, you have to factor in those luxury condos and apartments into the equation. NYC has multiple apartments in Manhattan that are over $100,000 a month that drive the median number even higher. It's still egregious. I agree with you. Shout out to you, Fi Brown. I know that number can skew incredibly high, but that's still a lot of money. Eric Harris says, AD going to rap about how you successfully married without simping. Nah, I'm retired. I retired a long time ago. It just wasn't for me. When I seen the money that was in it and stuff, it wasn't for me. I did have a deal on the table. Hold on, y'all don't know. I had a little record deal that was on the table. I might have to call somebody. I don't want to make this. I got a limited amount of time. For your information, AD Tesla's Cybertruck has been released. Yeah, I'm going to talk about it tomorrow. Shout out to y'all. Don't make me pull out some of my old rhyme books and my book of rhymes. Man, listen, I was a menace in them ciphers. Let me go over into the last part. I don't want y'all to distract me from what I got going on. Let me go into the last part of the show. A lot of people are not familiar with this guy, but I am. So, Charlie Munger died, I believe yesterday or the day before yesterday. And he died at 99 years old. 99 years old. Also, who passed away, shout out to Executive Suite Emily. I'm going to read that super chat shortly. Also, who died was Henry Kissinger. Now, a lot of people are not familiar with who Henry Kissinger is. Henry Kissinger is considered by many to be one of the most menacing people and most influential people of what's happening within our culture, society, and government. Let me say that again. Henry Kissinger, and this is his book, and I've told you guys to read this. Maybe some of you shouldn't read it. I actually had a conversation about this book inside of the video that I'm going to drop on the Patreon. It's just a small part of it. And I'm dropping that video tomorrow inside of the Patreon. So link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. But Henry Kissinger, and this book is thick. This book is literally, it was one of the best books that I've ever read in my entire life. About 800 pages. It's called Diplomacy. This is what it looks like. You can go and get it from you don't even have to purchase the book. I purchased it for about $23. You can get it off of Amazon, but it's called Diplomacy. The way that I found out about Henry Kissinger is this. I was working in corporate and I was on my way up, but I was having trouble going into the next level, right? And a lot of my philosophies as far as business is concerned, understanding and looking at things from a business perspective, is influenced by, and it started really when I started reading and understanding these books, such as people like Henry Kissinger. I started reading their autobiography. I started reading how they think and how they see the world and why they did certain things, right? And a lot of people are saying, Anton, that's a long book. Y'all listen to a whole hour of raps every day when y'all driving back and forth into work. Throw it on an audiobook. Y'all do some of the things that's the worst for y'all, but when I try to give y'all some gems and to give y'all some understanding on how to move strategically throughout life, my boss was trying to convince me to move a certain way and was trying to coach me at certain points in my life. And he said, Anton, I want you to go and buy Henry Kissinger's Diplomacy. I said, why would you do that? He said, Anton, I read that book when I was in college, when I was studying for my master's degree, and it helped me to get over the hump. And he really has taken off in society. Now, a lot of people are going to find that controversial because they say that Henry Kissinger was one of the most menacing people that you could ever run against, or that you could ever have an opinion about in history. Let me bring y'all up to speed on who Henry Kissinger is, so that you guys can better understand what I'm talking about, all right? Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Again, Henry Kissinger died just yesterday at 100 years old.
Israel's president and other world leaders are paying tribute to former U.S. Secretary of State, that's Henry Kissinger, who died yesterday. He was 100 years old. Kissinger led U.S. foreign policy through many critical moments in the 1970s and continued advising U.S. and foreign governments for the rest of his life. People sought out his advice. He received the Nobel Peace Prize, but many critics called him a war criminal. Margaret Brennan takes a look at his very complicated legacy.
Leaders from across the globe are taking time out to acknowledge and pay their respects. We're not talking about just Americans. Leaders from across the globe are taking their time out to pay their respects to Henry Kissinger, who is considered to be a war criminal, but was a Secretary of State and basically controlled so much. I mean, it's funny because when I was talking to Yaki Awaken, who I'm going to drop that interview for y'all shortly also, he was like, Anton, and he didn't know that I was familiar with Henry Kissinger and that I had read his book. And he was like, Anton, this guy was one of the most wildest, meanest, craziest people that you've ever met in your entire lifetime. And he's largely considered one of the most vexing war criminals to ever walk the face of the planet. Well, I would have you to know that multiple different administrations sought his advice throughout his lifetime. And he won the Nobel Peace Prize.
Henry Kissinger first arrived on U.S. shores as a Jewish refugee from Nazi Germany. Following a brief U.S. Army stint, he became a Harvard scholar, which paved his way to the highest echelons of power.
Face the Nation.
In 1958, Kissinger appeared on Face the Nation to discuss the issue that would dominate his career, the Cold War.
Over the long term, Russia is much more likely to be a threat to its security than we are.
He caught the eye of President Richard Nixon, who appointed him National Security Advisor in 1969.
Richard Nixon. Now, this guy immigrated, Jewish immigrant, and Nixon appointed him in 1969. 1969, this dude is a Harvard graduate. 1969, you got to ask yourself, how did these people get into the top of the field? Y'all need to read these books, man.
As well as Secretary of State. Kissinger eased relations with the Soviet Union and led secret talks to reopen relations with China after a 2-decade estrangement. In a 60 Minutes interview, Kissinger spoke about advising the most powerful man in the world.
When you're in this job, you're not conscious of working with the most powerful man in the world. You're much more conscious of the problems that have to be solved than of the power you exercise.
Kissinger.
Now think about that for a minute, because it's no different today than it was in yesteryear. He advised who they largely considered in brokered deals himself. Now, this was when things were a lot more visible, obviously. He brokered deals with other countries that the United States was estranged with himself. You got to understand that those conversations had to be wild. That the presidents and the decisions that they were making may not necessarily have been theirs. It may have been Henry Kissinger's. That's power. That's power. That's power. That he advised presidents and brokered deals, and God knows what else was going on behind the scenes.
Also spearheaded highly controversial policies, including the brutal bombing of Cambodia, yet was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1970.
Let me rewind that for a second.
Also spearheaded highly controversial policies, including the brutal bombing of Cambodia, yet was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1973 for helping to extricate the U.S. from the Vietnam War.
Will this meeting take very long?
He remained loyal to Nixon throughout the Watergate scandal and was one of the few inner circle members to escape virtually unscathed.
You know how much power that you got to have to be one of the only people that got no pushback or repercussions that came as a result of being a part of the Watergate scandal. Are y'all familiar with the Watergate scandal? Yeah, that is true, SS. He is the angel of death, for real. Are y'all familiar with the Watergate scandal? Do y'all know y'all history? I believe that everybody should go to and be able to reference certain points and certain talking points within history in order to even be able to be U.S. citizens. Y'all don't really know. Y'all history is kind of being rewritten based off of all of this cupcake information. But y'all don't really know how many people had to be sacrificed as a result of getting over into this point that we are in the country today. Y'all just protest, y'all run outside, y'all have these conversations acting like you being oppressed, and you don't even have a remote clue of what history is really like out here in these streets. You have no clue, and y'all out here like cupcakes, have no clue of what was really happening to people back in the day. Let's continue.
And served under President Ford. Kissinger's pragmatic policies, including support of dictatorships in Latin America, are darker parts of his legacy. Yet U.S. presidents continue to seek his counsel across.
Do you see it? Your savior, the first black president. Now, remember that this guy was a part of the Nixon administration in 1969. He had a consulting firm that he was probably being paid egregious amount of money, and he was still sitting next to some of your favorite presidents, the ones that you said were in your favor and pro-black and alphabet community and all of that. And you know who he was sitting right next to, advising, giving them advice and telling them what it is that they're supposed to be doing allegedly? Multiple different administrations until the time that he passed away. He was sitting there telling them and advising them on how it is that they're supposed to be operating within their office. It all comes back to one thing.
Across nearly 5 decades. In an interview on Face the Nation in 2014, Kissinger argued for American leadership.
Every part of the world is changing simultaneously. but it cannot change creatively without a major American contribution.
Amid global power shifts, Kissinger's own views were subject to change. In recent years, he controversially suggested Ukraine cede territory to Russia, only to then call for Ukraine to join NATO. This year, he visited a rising China one last time, counseling President Xi Jinping amid cooling relations with the U.S. Henry Kissinger's strategic decisions will continue to shape the globe for generations to come.
Can you imagine how powerful you have to be to actually be able to sit down with a Chinese presidents throughout history, have a consulting firm that then is still making a ton of money as a result of what it is that you do and say at 100 years old? At 100 years old. And see, that's why y'all think that all of this stuff is based off of what y'all think, but you don't educate yourself in order to make stronger strategic decisions in your life, understanding what the repercussions are going to be, even when it comes to your voting patterns and the people that you subject yourself to, or why people are doing what it's doing, or why capitalism is important, or why what it is that you think don't matter when it comes to reparations, or what's happening within your communities and societies, or why we have borders open, or why we go into war, or why you have to allocate all of these billions and trillions of dollars over into your military, or why Ukraine is moving this way, or why we have to support the war over there in Israel and things like that. There is so many facets to life, and it's so fascinating when it comes to history, and then combining it with business, and then you're trying to understand how democracy plays a role in it, and why they move this way and why they move this way. It is so many different working parts, but because you can't give everything to everybody as far as your opinion all at one time, you have to give them a little bit of baby food here and there, and then they're going to get mad at you and they're going to feel some type of way, but it doesn't change the dynamics of what's going on out here in society. Real talk. I want to start going a little bit deeper here on the Millionaire Morning Show, if you guys will let me, in different segments. I want to start exploring different principles, philosophies, books, theories, bringing it in with history, and then also allowing for that to inform us of how it is that we're supposed to move financially and how that affects us within our daily lives. So it's up to you guys. I'll test the waters with different segments to just see where the interest lies. And if you guys are interested in it, then we'll continue with it. If you're not, then we're going to just continue to move on, and we're going to continue to pivot and have conversations based off of the things that's more meaningful to you. Because if it's not meaningful to you, the things that I study when I leave here, right, or when I get off the Millionaire Morning Show, may be a little bit different than the things that you're interested in. So if we start to deep dive, and this is just a surface level thing to have a conversation with you guys to let you know that one of the most important people that shaped the way that you live your life today is passed away at 100 years old. And even after his death, he's still going to be controlling a lot of what happens in your life. If you guys are interested and start going a little bit deeper here on this show, or if we have to create an entirely different segment to do so, then let me know. All right. So listen, I love you guys. I appreciate you. Let me read a little bit more, a couple more super chats, and then I'm going to get y'all out of here. This is the greatest morning show on earth by far. The greatest show on earth by far. All right. Executive Suite Emily says they are using that video to anchor in the migrants. That video was disingenuous, crazy numbers from high price areas. There is an agenda at play. It's always an agenda at play. Executive Suite Emily. It's always an agenda at play. AL says, how long did it take you to read the Bible? What, the first time or the seventh time? Right? I don't really put a time limit on it, because I read it when I was like, first time that I finished the Bible, I think I was 13. And then you study it differently as you get older. So when I was 13, I just read it straight through. And I didn't have as much understanding as I had now, and I didn't even know what I was reading sometimes, but it would start to come back to me when certain things would happen in my life, and I could reference that. And then when I read it the second time, I got additional context. When I was 13 years old, I don't know, it probably took me like a month, tops, because I did it over the summer, right? And it was one of the assignments that I had from private school, right? So when I was in private Catholic school, we used to have, not service, but we used to have a class called religion. And one of the assignments that we had over the summer was to read the entire Bible. It wasn't something that was required of us. It was something that was highly suggested from us, from our religion teacher. And so we dug into it. And a lot of us, we read the entire Bible. So I read the entire Bible over the summer. Now, they were reading out of a Bible that was based off of Catholicism, I was reading the King James Version. So the Bible that I studied is the King James Version, not the New King James Version, but the King James Version. And I read it over the summer when I was around 13 years old, and it completely changed my perspective about everything. And then ever since then, I've always continuously read the Bible. I never stopped reading it, right? But you study it differently. You slow down. You might dig down into it with a concordance, or you dig down into certain verses a little bit differently depending on where you are at. And then it hits a little differently because as you get older, more things are revealed to you as you get more understanding and when you're at certain parts in life. That's why I say it's very difficult for somebody that's 21, 22, 23 years old to become a life coach because they don't know enough. They haven't experienced enough that then unlocks certain mysteries that's revealed to you earlier in life that then manifests itself much later. It's similar to the Old Testament versus the New Testament, right? So when you think about the Old Testament versus the New Testament, for example, there was a covenant that God made with Abraham that his seed would number the earth. And so, back then, and if you're reading just the Old Testament or it's the first time reading it, you would think that he's talking about physically, right? That Abraham was going to have kids and then his kids was going to have so many kids and then their kids was going to have so many kids that their seed was going to number the earth. The manifestation, and that was revealed through letters that Paul was writing, especially through to the Galatians in the New Testament. The manifestation of that was Jesus Christ dying for the sins of all people, which then made the Comforter available to the Jew and the Gentile alike. Now, I'm not going to get into Bible study today. I'm just giving you some insight as to what is revealed to you as you continue to get older, right? And as you study the word or as you study anything, you can apply this to anything. But the manifestation of that was Jesus dying for our sins, which then made the Comforter available, which was the manifestation of that covenant that was fulfilled based off of the promise that God gave him. So we are all seeds of Abraham if and when we then give our life over to Christ, which then makes sense once you get to another part of it and you read in the letters that Paul was writing over into the saints in order to ensure that they was moving the way that God wanted them to move and giving them that additional insight. You know what I'm saying? So when you read, and it's not just the word, but when you read, you don't always want to just read it one time, or you don't always want to just look at it and skim through it. And even when I tell people, even when people do audiobooks, I tell them to don't just listen to the audiobooks because you're going to miss some stuff. You're going to miss some things that was supposed to be, that you had to pay attention to in order to fully catch it. But if you distracted and doing multiple other things while you listening to an audiobook, a lot of times you don't necessarily catch it the way that you're supposed to catch it. You know what I'm saying? So I would suggest people block off at least an hour at a time a day to read, even if you're going to do it early in the morning or you're doing it at night. And then you can combine insight, or you can look at things differently, and it translates differently, because when I see something, I see principalities, I see how it comes back to the money. I've trained myself to look at it, biblically, right? All of these different things, right? So it's interesting. It's very interesting. Let me read a couple more super chats and then I'm gonna get y'all out of here for the day. That was Aaron. Thank you, Aaron, for continuing to rock out with me. Hold on one second. Let me just do something real quick. Okay, my bad. I had to check something really quickly. Jake Fever says he got it in the same way the New York immigrants did. 50 years from now, it will be powerful Venezuelan like him. That's a strong possibility. That's a strong possibility. JC says his demise. So you don't like Henry Kissinger? Okay, I got you. Jay Ben says Deep Talk and Time sounds like a Patreon segment. Yeah, that's just when I start to get into it. See, I'm a man of many talents. I could talk a little bit. I'm a C student, but I could talk a little bit. David Williams says I'm about to come up on 250,000. Congratulations. It's the biggest payday of my life. I can imagine. Very few people ever is able to come up on a $250,000 payday. Says, beside paying my taxes and debt off first, what should I do with it? The first thing that you should do with it is probably seek a financial advisor. The second thing that you should do is not necessarily pay your taxes off or pay your taxes with it. So it depends on how you getting it, right? If you want it from the lottery, they're probably going to take taxes out of it immediately. You do have it right in that you want to pay off debt, but you need to really start a business, honestly. I start the brokerage account because it's the place where I want to hold my money while, and it allows for me to be liquid until I find a deal that I want to find, right? When you say paying off debt, are you also paying off your house? You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of different ways that you can look at it. So it depends on your circumstances. It depends on how many kids that you have. It's a lot of factors that go into it. But for me, I would be looking to start a business where I can get rid of that money immediately. I would not go out there and buy a car. I would not go out there and go shopping. If you're going to go shopping and enjoy it, take 10 grand, enjoy yourself, use 2,000 of it to book some plane tickets and go to the place that you really want to in order to get that out of your system. But do not fumble that. Take 200,000 of that, and that should be invested in something that is going to yield results long term, whether it be short-term investment until you find a more permanent solution. But I would be looking to use it in real estate, honestly. I would be looking to use it in real estate. I would leverage that money in order to get into real estate because you will never, ever, ever go wrong by leveraging. And I wouldn't go into it and buy some dilapidated houses in the hood. I will be leveraging it to get into real estate and then to ultimately be generating revenue and returns long term. All right, that's the safest place, the most profitable place, in my opinion, for you to park it. Park it in your brokerage account until you find the right real estate play. And then I would use that and leverage that money in order to get into real estate, to become an investor. You can even house hack, right? You can buy you a duplex. You can get into all of that, right? So it's a lot of different ways, but I would not spend any more. I would spend maybe $40,000 paying off debt, assuming that you probably got about $40,000 in debt. Spend $10,000, enjoy it, because you're going to need to get that out of your system or you're going to be feeling some type of way. And then I would put the rest into real estate. I would drive every dime that I could into real estate. All right. So shout out to you and congratulations on the 250K. David Williams says total debt is only $10K. Okay. Well, then I will be deploying $230,000 inside of real estate. I will be getting every dime that I can into that. Yosef Wartall says, hi, Anton. Do you read the book Enoch? Enoch was very similar to Elijah, and that a lot of people say that they were the only ones that were really called up by God without dying, right? If I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. My memory could not be serving me correctly. But Enoch were very similar to Elijah, and that they were one of the very few people inside of the Word of God that was called up, right? So it's a very interesting part. The Bible is so fun to read. Like, even if you don't believe, if you just want to look at it as a form of entertainment, it's very, very entertaining. David Williams says Paul was a false apostle. Is that right? Oh, okay. Cool. Anastasia Rodriguez says, is the recommendation for books in the Discord? If y'all want me to go into the Discord and throw a bunch of books in there that I recommend, 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson, Henry Kissinger, Diplomacy, the Bible, Buffetology, Random Walk Down Wall Street, How to Win Friends and Influence People. What else would I recommend for you guys right off the bat? The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark. I think his name is Mark Ronson. David Goggins, You Can't Hurt Me. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The Alchemist. Art of Negotiation. What else? What else would I recommend you right off the bat? Big Short, that's a good one. History of Slavery. Stay away from the 48 Laws or the 48 Laws of Power. Stay away from that. Stay away from the 48 Laws of Power. Stay away from if you are not built for it, it could be one of the most you got to have the right spirit. You got to have the right understanding to read the 48 Laws of Power. It could be demonic. And it could be something that could drive you into a very bad space if you don't understand it. So I would not read the 48 Laws of Power right away. Intelligent Investor. I will read the anything by Benjamin Graham is good. Yeah, that should get y'all started. So good question. Good question. Let me see. David put it all in Bitcoin. Don't be. Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. Peace King Workout says, Anton, explain the Corporate Transparency Act for me. What do you mean, the Corporate Transparency Act? I don't know what it is. Let me see. The Corporate Transparency Act in 2024. A Corporate Transparency Act, or the CTA, is a new federal initiative to limit more money laundering that will require most companies and their beneficial owners to register with the U.S. Department of Treasury's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. I haven't heard of this. I'll deep dive into it. I'm a bookmark it and I'm a deep dive into it. Millionaire Next Door is a good book also. Oh yeah. Also get anything from Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey is a good start also. He's a great start. I have not heard about this, but I'm a deep dive into it. Let me do some research before I get into it. All right. And I'll try to do a segment on it. Gotta love Silverado says Paul was one of the greatest apostles. I don't try to argue with people. I just let them rock and say whatever it is that they want to say. Mohammed says, are you still planning to drop Yaki Awakening interview, or has it? No, I'm dropping it. I'm going to drop it tomorrow. Richest Man in Babylon is a good book also. I'm going to drop it tomorrow, and it is a great interview. Jake Fever says, LOL, listen to AD, but read the Bitcoin standard. Y'all can't even understand to me. Y'all can't even explain to me in depth what cryptocurrency is. That's all right. It's going to be a great show tomorrow. I promise y'all. I appreciate y'all for continuing to tune in. Thank you for rocking out with me. It's Thursday, so I'll be able to get some sleep tonight. All right. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for continuing to rock out with me. I got lunch on the way straight from Beyond Juice. And specifically, I have some. Hold on. Let me see something. I have some. Let me tell y'all what I ordered for lunch. I ordered an acai bowl. Yep. They're trying to get me to double dash. No, I don't want a double dash. I ordered an acai bowl. With the Cosmic Dream acai bowl. Yeah. I don't eat meat anymore. Nope, I sure don't. I do not eat meat anymore. So I ordered myself an acai bowl, and it has strawberries, coconut, bananas, peanut butter, and granola. So that's what I'm eating for lunch. All right, and then I got to head to the gym, and then I'm going to get some sleep tonight. So listen, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I hope y'all tune into the live stream tomorrow. And we're going to get to it, all right? Make sure you share this with your family, friends. We don't want to be successful by ourselves. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Thank y'all. Peace.